Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Amber.
And I'm Ivan Penaluna.
You're listening to The Dry Shave Show, and on today's episode...
President Pool Boy's first 100 days.
Oh, you guys like to tell jokes and giggle and kid around, huh? Giggling like a bunch of young broads in a schoolyard. Well, let me tell a joke.
I wanted this to be professional.
I don't gotta listen to this shit.
You certainly don't, pal. Because the good news is...
Awesome!
With Byron Bertram and Ivan Penaluna.
So, Ivan, President Pool Boy's first 100 days. What's today's topic?
Well, it's all about Justin Trudeau. It's all about our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, the Facebook Prime Minister of Canada, and his first 100 days. He's been in office for 100 days, and we just want to do a recap of what he's actually achieved in those first 100 days. They often do this with politicians, the first 100 days of this, so this is our version of it.
Our Prime Minister placeholder.
Yes, exactly.
He's just warming the seat until they find somebody who's actually going to do something.
Well, I posted something today and saying only 3.75 more years of President Pool Boy, because it's a long time. But if you look at it like that, it's not that bad.
No, I'm sure he still can't believe that he's in charge.
Well, it is a bit like that, It's like. What was it called, that movie where the dad and the son trade places and vice versa? The 80s movie, you know it? I think everybody knows it. Justin Trudeau is a bit like the son who can't believe he's the CEO of a company. And I think he wakes up every morning and can't quite believe it. But anyway, we want to...
I certainly wake up every morning and I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. In fact, people say, oh, it's great, Canada's cool again. Frankly, I'm embarrassed. I'm just embarrassed. Every day I'm embarrassed.
Canada was never cool. And the fact that the Canadians always have to measure their coolness by, where they are, in the, when you're in the school and you're posing for the annual photograph. Yeah. And then you're looking around to see who's standing next to who, right? And you wish you were just standing next to the cool chick down on second row. That's Canada going, but can I be up there? Canadians are not cool.
Oh dear, I'm stood next to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Shit.
Yeah. Oh,
there's Vladimir Putin down on the front row. Why can't I be down there? Because you're Canada, you have to stand at the back here. And you're short. Am I? Yes.
And Canadians love to, they make fun of America to make them feel special.
Well, yeah, they look south and they go, at least we're not them.
Yeah.
That's what they do, which is a little bit it's a bit arrogant, but at the same time, I understand why sometimes they do that. He's
a twat with Goldilocks.
That's another way of putting it. But let's have a look. Okay, so what he's actually done over the last 100 days, he basically came into office and he said, I'm going to do two things. And he basically got elected on these two things. What he said was, I'm going to pull the fighter jets out of the fight against ISIS, right? They're still there. They're still running operations. I mean, I don't know. I presume everybody knows this. They're still there. They're still running operations. Yep. He hasn't done it yet. Yep. The other thing that he promised was he was going to bring 25,000 Syrian refugees in by December the 1st. Now,
he accused the Conservative government of not bringing them in fast enough.
Right. And so what's happened? He hasn't brought them in at anything like the speed he promised he would. And as Rex Murphy put it, thank God, anybody who's involved in the security agency of this country, anybody who's involved in the logistics of this sort of, it's a mammoth task. 25,000 people, bringing them from somewhere else and getting them settled here. It's a mammoth task. And thank God he hasn't been able to deliver on it.
Well, also because it's winter. It's winter, and where are you going to put all these people? You can't just release them into the streets.
Well, that's a very good point. You raise a very good point there, because the Rebel today had an exclusive, and they've got the documentation. They did a 20-minute video on it. Basically, what they're going to do, and they've got the proof. What they're going to do is they're going to empty a load of army bases around Canada. There's about 6 or 7 army bases.
Because we don't really have an army.
Yeah, they're going to kick the guys out, and they're going to put the refugees in there, and then going to build mosques for them and buy Qurans for them and get them some Wellington boots and, get them a translator and that sort of thing. Anyway, the bill, as you can imagine, is astronomical. It's astronomical. It's in the high millions.
It's nice that we're building them a mosque.
Yeah. So basically, what you're going to do, in Europe, they've let the military-age Muslim men in. But in Canada, they're going one step further, saying, okay, we're only bringing families in, but what we're going to do is we're going to give them our army bases. Which is,
We're going to train them.
Yeah, and we're going to give them guns. What? No, it's a good idea. We're going to give them guns. Why would you want to do this? No, this is the new world. You're not on board, mate. You're a bad person if you're not on board with this plan.
Why smuggle them guns when you can give them a whole military army base?
Exactly. You don't have to worry about insurgents. They become the incumbents then.
Well, the thing, you know what Trudeau has done though, since
What's that?
He bought himself a taxpayer-funded selfie stick.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
he's using it.
I know. Do you know what? I thought that this was a conspiracy by the right wing press, as everybody often says about anything where they paint Justin Trudeau in a poor light. But even CBC are showing picture after picture of him taking selfies with other world leaders. When he was in Davos, he basically spent his entire time walking around having selfies taken with other people.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing he has done. Like the very first thing he did when he was the prime minister, got elected, they all decided to go to Paris for the climate conference, right?
Right.
Which is like a conveniently located place to have a climate conference,
Yeah, they got nice wine and food as well, right?
Yeah, that just happens to be like, but they got all these hotels and nice wine and French cuisine, that was just on the side.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to go alone.
Right.
So he brought like 300 to 500 delegates.
He brought 300 people.
Yeah. That we all paid for. It's all tax-payered CO2. Like they just think of all the hotels and the air miles and the free meals that all of them got just to discuss saving the planet.
300 people.
Yeah.
That is outrageous. I mean, I would expect a delegation like that to consist of maybe 70 people max.
Well, how about just 2? How about 1? How about he goes alone with his wife and that's it? Like,
And then he takes a little recorder with him.
And everybody else Skype. Like, if there's one thing that Microsoft and Bill Gates can be thanked for, it's fucking Skype. Like, right? We don't need to fly all the way around the world to talk about how that flight you just took is emitting CO2. Like,
No. And the other thing that he's famous for is he came up with two sound bites that have gone viral or become very famous over the last 100 days. The first one, if you cast your mind back, was because it's 2016. Remember that one? Because that's why he had a gender equal cabinet, and he went, because it's 2016.
that's right.
Guys.
This is what Canada looks like.
It's like that.
They've got some Sikhs and they got some women and they got some brown people in cabinet, right? And that's great.
Which is great.
Yes.
Except for the fact that it's all done by quota.
Yeah, it's done by quota, and actually those ministers don't make any decisions. They all have committees.
Well, they all have white
consultants. They have
handling
white
them.
male consultants.
And the other thing he actually said, this is more recently, was he wanted Canada to be known not for its resources, but for its resourcefulness. Not for what's under its feet, but what's between its ears, which is ironic because what's between his ears is nothing to write about.
That's standard political talk. Instead of doing what's obvious and using what we got, let's spend millions of dollars to think of a way that we could do it differently.
That's like Saudi Arabia going, okay, guys, we've got all this oil, but really want to get into wind power.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What the fuck? You're selling fucking billions of gallons of oil. Just pump it and get it out there. No. That's so 1970s. This is 2016. We're going to invest in some hydropower.
It's like Dubai going, you know what? Instead of oil and being Arabs, let's build the world's tallest tower.
Which is what they did.
Yeah.
So they're on the same boat as him, really,
Yeah.
basically, aren't they?
Yeah, that's like, you know what? That's the thing about like everyday farmer, sort of like average people who like get talked down to, right? That's why I grew up in Alberta and I represent all of Alberta in this conversation. And that farmer type that just like, you know what? Doesn't make sense to me. Just fucking milk the cow, drink the milk.
Yeah.
Like real straight, like in other words,
Straight shooter.
just straight shooter and just do what's obvious.
Right.
Like you don't need consultants to like figure out 10 different ways to do something badly. you know, as opposed to just doing it the way it's doing what's obvious.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. Like, you know, like you go to any city park anywhere in the world now, and they're all over designed, right? And they've got like benches that are designed that people can't actually lay on because they don't want people to lay on them. So they all have these weird sort of like they're new designs, and they're like compartmentalized seats, and they've got weird fountains, and they've got like maybe a tree. But then they got everything's over designed.
It's a fountain that you can't shower in.
Yeah, and it's a toilet that's locked, right? Because you know they put the toilet there because people need toilets, and they need it. It's mandated to use toilets, but then the toilets are locked because you don't want anyone to get raped in the toilet, right? Or you want homeless people living in the toilet, so they never use the toilet, right? So they build a toilet they know that they're never going to fucking use, right? And then they're going to go, you know what? Litigation. So like we can't just have concrete or grass, right? We have to have like rubber mats everywhere in case a kid falls down and scrapes his knee and sues the fucking city.
I'm surprised how we actually got here.
And then eventually they put a fence around the whole park, and they say, you know what, fun is bad for you. Right, so that's where the world is going, and it used to be with just like, no, this is how we do it, just do it. But now everything is fucking over-analyzed, over-designed, and over-conceived.
And it's got to be inverted. It's got to be turned upside down.
Yeah, and effectively everything that they end up doing is the opposite of what they say that they are trying to do.
Yeah,
which is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what gets me all like wound up and like upset. And ironically that Prime Minister Trudeau got elected on this platform of positivity. Super happy, positive, sunny ways.
Everything's going to be awesome.
It's
like the Lego movie.
Is awesome. Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly like the Lego movie. But if you analyze what he's done, right, compared to what he said, he's done exactly what the last prime minister's done. They're going to pass the TPP, which is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is basically going to offshore all our jobs, which is really bad for Canada, right? He's everything that he has done is exactly like the former government, but he's a happy, shiny, nice guy.
Yeah.
Right? It's exactly like George W. Bush, Obama. Obama's doing the same thing, bringing back the Patriot Act, bringing back the surveillance. He's like a happier, shinier, black George W.
Yeah, well, I would agree. But that makes me feel somewhat better because I don't think that Stephen Harper did that bad a job. And the thing is that now that Justin Trudeau is not living up to his promises, I'm happy about that. I'm sure there's a lot of Canadians that are equally as happy about it. You know. On another note, though, I just wanted, while we're going through a list of what he's actually done in the last 100 days, do you remember he went to the World Economic Forum and he gave a speech? He was talking to two journalists. No, it's the CEO of a social media company, I believe. I can't remember the name of it right now. But anyway, he was talking to them about raising his son as feminists, or man bitches, as I like to say, you know. So, and this is also that, because this program's well underway in the Western liberal democracies right now. You know, you see it across Europe, you see it in North America. They are emasculating men so that they can destruct or destroy, take to bits every aspect of Western society, and then it becomes more malleable and easily impressed. And,
well, he's French, so of course his kids are going to grow up as fucking man bitches because they're French, right? Which basically, and what am I trying to say? Am I a racist? What I'm trying to say is that, like, in Quebec, they have banned, like, it's against the law for a woman to take her husband's name, right? Because they have their own brand of socialism. Right, so yeah, of course. Like, a woman's not allowed to take her husband's name, right? And the boys aren't allowed to be boys. No one's allowed to be anything that they are. Everybody is the opposite. Everyone's the opposite of what they are. We're living in fucking crazy times.
I know, and I think he's a bit upset because parts of Alberta and also the Maritimes, especially the rural areas, are not on board with this program because they're still raising boys as young men and boys.
Yeah,
you know, and that's obviously flies in the face of his vision of Canada 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah, there's something weird going on.
They're going to emasculate everybody who lives in a city, and people who live rurally are still going to be intact. That's basically it.
It's a weird French thing, though. Like, he's very, very pro-Quebec and anti-Alberta, even though he doesn't say he is.
Well, here's another thing that came out, and this was something that was on the Rex Murphy's political show. He basically said that the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has cut out a role for himself, especially when it comes to energy. There's this big thing at the moment going on with the Energy East pipeline, Montreal. The Montreal mayor quashed that and said, no, we're not letting that go through Montreal and Quebec. And so basically, Alberta can't get its oil to an ice-free port in New Brunswick. You've also got the Enbridge on the west coast, that furore going on. And now you've got Mayor Gregor Robertson saying that he doesn't want tankers in the harbour. So you've got all of these resources, right? And no resourcefulness, because there's absolutely no way to get this stuff out of the country. It's been stymied by political and environmental concerns, which in the case of the Energy East pipeline, the scientists have come out and said, you know what, this is fine. And the NDB is saying, nope, that's not good enough for us.
Yeah, but they're trying to get to fuck Alberta in the ass. Like, they got all that Alberta money for like ages, and now that Alberta's in the tank, they're just like showing their true colors, and they're just like giving them like, fuck you.
Yeah, well, but they're fucking themselves.
Cow fuckers.
They're fucking themselves, because the thing is that I believe Quebec got $9 billion last year from Alberta oil revenue.
Yeah.
So, that's money that they wouldn't have got otherwise. So why would they want to fuck the goose that lays the golden egg?
They're biting the hands that feed them, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's... Exactly. They... Also, Alberta decided to, like, experiment with their government and elected a left-leaning NDP government. And, they killed the golden goose.
Yeah.
They basically butchered it up and opened it up and, like, found out that there was no fucking golden eggs inside of her. And now we don't have a golden goose at all.
Are you familiar with that with that analogy? The golden goose?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't fuck the golden goose, right? Don't stick your dick inside the golden goose, because it won't lay golden eggs
don't
anymore.
Cut his head off.
No, don't cut his head off.
Right? Because it lays golden eggs.
Yeah.
Every day.
Look after it. Feed it some warm water. Make sure it doesn't freeze in the winter.
That's all it wants.
Yeah, and paint its coop.
Yeah, it's basically what it comes down to is patience. Just like steady as she goes.
Okay, so you did...
Just a little... But I do have to say this about the oil industry. Like, from a strategic point of view, and I think I mentioned this before, from a strategic point of view, I am pro-Canada keeping its natural resources in the ground for a future when we need it.
You raised this point earlier on, and I was very taken by it. I think it's a great point.
Instead of giving it away at rock bottom prices.
So your point is that basically at the moment now is not the time to be selling your oil on the open market, because you're going to get fuck all from it. Leave it in the ground. It's not going anywhere. And when the oil price rises again, which it will, because there's a pump and dump oil war going on at the moment, then we'll be in a position to get what we need for it.
Do what's obvious. I'm no paleobotanist. I'm not in politics. I didn't even graduate high school, but let's be honest. It's like, it's in the ground. Nobody in the country wants us to take it out of the ground. Even if we did get it out of the ground, we wouldn't fucking get any money for it. So just fucking leave it there until that day comes when we need oil and the rest of the world is out of oil. We're like, well, we got some. We got more oil in northern Alberta than all of Saudi Arabia, but it's trapped in sand, right? And that, if it wasn't for that, maybe that was the thing that saved us. Is if it wasn't for all that sand, it would already be gone.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you know what? This might be a blessing in disguise. Leave the oil in the ground.
Now, the only downside to that argument is that basically all the infrastructure that gets it out of the ground is collapsing.
It's already gone. They've already sold it.
So basically, you would have to build that again.
All those companies that were in business a year ago, they've already like packed up all their gear and auctioned it all off. Like Alberta, even if oil was to hit like $150 tomorrow, like it would take a year or two to get back on track.
Right.
Because they were just like, they panicked and they shat the bed.
If oil went to $150 a barrel or $200 a barrel, I'm going to buy myself an Arab headdress. I think every Canadian should buy themselves an Arab headdress and then not have any idea of how much, gas costs. Be driving around in cars going, shit, I've run out of gas because I didn't know how much it costs.
Quebec would be building a pipeline real fast.
Yeah, fuck
if
them.
It was $150 a barrel.
Yeah, so
but that's the other thing. It's like it's easy. It just goes to show you your true colors. That your politicians say one thing, and then as soon as he's in charge, he just like turns his head. And that's why. And I knew it. I knew Trudeau would be like this from the very beginning. And everybody's just like, oh, but you mean he's not different? I'm like, no, he's not different. He never was different. It was never going to be different. You're all, you know what? You're all suckers, Canada. You're suckers, and you deserve what you got.
All right, that's a great point. All right, let's go to the fucking news.
This is the fucking news.
All right, go. In 5, 4. I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
This is the fucking news.
Fucking thing sucks.
So here we are with the fucking news, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got Pyra Draculea with some stories.
All right. Pro-abortion group NARAL, Pro-Choice America, is royally pissed after a Doritos Super Bowl ad dared to show an ultrasound of an unborn baby reaching up as the father holds out a Dorito chip over the mother's ready-to-drop belly. Why? Well, because it humanizes the fetus, see, and apparently that's a bad thing. NARAL tweeted out, #NotBuyingIt, that Doritos ad using #anti-choice tactic of humanizing fetuses and sexist tropes of dads as clueless and moms as uptight, #SB50. The commercial was posted onto YouTube where it has just about 2 million views with over 10,000 likes and 364 possible staff members of NARAL being the ones to click dislike.
So let me just get this straight. There was a Super Bowl ad for Doritos.
Yep.
And there's a fetus in the sketch, and the fetus wants a Dorito.
Yes.
That's basically the gag.
Yeah, it's
And people are pissed off because Doritos is implying that the fetus is a human.
Yes.
And there's people out there that don't want that to be a thing.
They don't want their fetus to be recognized as being human in any way or alive whatsoever, because that then stops it from being a commodity that you can actually just, decide whether it actually lives or dies and then chop it up and sell the bits afterwards.
But surely they should recognize that anyone who's eating Doritos is basically killing themselves.
Well, that's another point.
It's kind of another kind of abortion.
That's another point I hadn't thought of. But I think the real point here is that basically you've got, this is a good example of the world. It's insane. I mean, this reverse reality is getting really amusing now. I mean, we've got groups that are like NARAL who are turning around and saying, hey, that's outrageous. You're humanizing a fetus. And we don't want you to do that because that fucks our game.
And you know why this is happening is because the world needs more problems. You know what? We need more problems. If we had greater real problems, then this.
Well, we do. Excuse me. Have you had a look outside the window recently? We have got serious problems. But some people, those that are decoupling from reality in the most comical way, right? Generally on the progressive left, they're decoupling. I mean, they don't live in the fucking real world anymore. They live in an alternate fantasy world where, to them, having a fetus that's humanized is actually offensive. So.
Well, so we can't be offended at this because they're clearly clowns.
They're insane.
They're insane clowns.
They're ideologically insane.
But they have the ear of certain parties in power and stuff like that. I mean, NARAL stands for National Association for the Repeal of Abortion Laws. They're in with Planned Parenthood. And I know you haven't seen the ad, Eric, but when you see it, this is not like a chick who's having her first ultrasound. This is like, any day now, the baby's coming out, which is well past the point when, all the nerve endings are there, where there's any debate about whether or not the fetus feels pain or hears sensation, anything like that. This is 2 days away from being a genuine baby.
It's well past the point at which you can have a legal abortion.
And well,
not in China.
What state
in China, they if it's still in there, it's called a pig in a blanket.
Certainly past the point when the majority of public opinion thinks that it's acceptable to do that, and these people are still freaking out. And it's, by the way, it's like a blatantly cartoon. It's not too super cartoony. It still looks like the sort of X-ray thing, but the fact that it's reaching up when its dad sort of plays keep away with the Dorito over the mom's navel. Like, I think that kind of tells you right there it's fake. But these people are still just freaking out about that.
Yeah, but even the Super Bowl itself is ridiculous. Like, millions of people watching these hooligans beat the shit out of each other, and like, I'm like, really? Like, I don't get as excited as other people.
Oh, I do. It was one of the biggest culture shocks I'd experienced when I came to Canada, because my upstairs neighbors were when I was living in one place were like, yeah, it's Super Bowl, we're all behind the Washington Tigers. And I'm like, really? I was going, you're from Vancouver. And they're going, oh, I fucking love the Washington Tigers. I was like, really? And they're going, yeah, everybody's behind the Washington Tigers. Some guys, they like the Bengal moose puppies, but we like the Washington
the moose
Tigers.
puppies, yeah.
Yeah, whatever, It's the fucking...
You clearly don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's the Texas cum dolphins. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. The LA cum guzzlers.
The LA
Those
jizz,
are the cheerleaders.
the LA jizz bandits. I don't know.
Gridiron or American football, whatever you want to call it, is not my sport at all. It's just a little bit too stop and go for me.
Well, if you like overweight men in spandex, then fill your boots.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to go so far as not calling them athletes, but it's like they basically exert energy for like 5 seconds, and that energy is just like grab a guy and hold him down.
Yeah, they're one stage. They're one tier above darts and snooker.
Yeah. It's like, you know what it is? It's rape with a ball. In front of people.
Great.
What's next in the news?
All right. A jury in London has acquitted a man accused of sexually assaulting a woman in Waterloo Station. The woman, supposedly a well-known actress in her 60s, but since her name can't be released, who knows? Anyway, she claims that he assaulted her as he walked by her for a split second in the busy station as she was going to a rehearsal and he was minding his own damn business and going to work. This led to charges of, quote, sexual assault by penetration, even though multiple angles of the closed-circuit television in the station showed he never even broke his stride as he walked past her, didn't seem to notice her at all, had his right hand on the strap of his backpack and a newspaper in his left hand. But hey, who are you going to believe? Some actress whose job involves make-believe or your lying eyes?
I saw the footage of this story, and he's about 10 foot away from her. I don't know why this has got any legs, why it's got traction. I don't know why they're entertaining this. This is one of the problems, with courts, and especially, here in BC with the Court of Human Rights. The problem there is that they don't have somebody on the door going, get the fuck out of here. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what they need. That's what courts need. You just like look at you and you go, oh, really? Really? Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they need. But, in a country that loves its CCTV and uses it for everything.
Well, you know what? I grew up in Britain and I know the CCTV system there. I mean, people in Canada are a bit freaked out about CCTV. When you live in a heavily urbanized environment like Britain, CCTV for most people who are law-abiding is a good thing. Because you've got so many people who do so much nasty, bad shit, and the only reason why they get caught is because they're on CCTV.
Right. Or the reason they get maybe get off, they get acquitted, is because CCTV clearly shows that they weren't doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and she couldn't even pick him out of a photo lineup. It was, I think the cops analyzed the, I guess it's whatever pass cards for the transit system of everyone who passed through, and I guess picked him. I read the bit in the Telegraph. It didn't make any sense to me how they decided this was the guy that they were going to charge.
Without any evidence other than her say so.
So I mean, it's obvious. Let's
and the video shows that he didn't it's like either that or he's got he's like the flash of premature ejaculation or something. So fast video couldn't catch it.
Let's state the obvious. She's an out-of-work actress, and she's looking for
She's supposed to be well-known.
I would love to know who she is. This is going to come out. Yeah. This will come out. I mean, in today's world of social media, this will come out.
Especially in England. They got Prince Harry dressed as a Nazi. They got everything. They got the Queen hailing Hitler.
She was 4.
Yeah, but still, she did it. She did it. She did
it. Say hello to her Hitler. Yeah, Sieg Heil.
They found it. They found it, right? You can't hide anything in England.
No, you can't.
So they will find out the truth.
Exactly.
Fuck that bitch.
Yeah. Uh-oh, you're up on charges next.
What else we got?
A Brazilian clinic is recommending that if women want to avoid the Zika virus, particularly pregnant women, they need to cover up entirely, complete with gloves and a burqa in order to prevent contracting the virus.
Yeah, look, the
Wonder
one
who funds that clinic?
I think it's CARE, isn't it?
Probably.
The one the one good use for a burqa in Recife in northern Brazil, where they have this outbreak of the Zika virus, and they're basically saying, you know what, this is a good use, this is a sound medical public health use for a burqa. You can have them in whatever colours you want. Have them in Brazilian colours, by all means. You know what I mean? What I'd like to see is a Brazilian burqa with a Brazilian made out of the Brazilian flag.
I want to see some Muslims getting a Brazilian. You know what? This is where we got to get all these feminists in Canada to go do a slut walk in the Brazilian rainforest and see how quickly they put on a burqa.
You know, well, the Brazilians invented
Sponsored by Narrow.
The Brazilians invented the Brazilian shorts, and the Brazilian shorts are, well, they're shorts for the waist and the hips. But everything else is right there. I mean, the ass is out.
Yeah.
You know, they're not shorts that basically have any ass coverage whatsoever.
No, and that's what I like about Brazil.
Well, yeah.
Okay. All right. So
now you're thinking about Brazil, aren't
so
you?
basically the Muslims are the ones that are responsible for the mosquito outbreak just to make everybody wear a burqa.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying that.
No, okay.
It's a nice idea, but I don't think so.
Okay.
No, but I think it's the one. It's ironic that you've got this arse end of Brazil somewhere up in the north, which is the center of the Zika outbreak, and then you've got the only thing that they can come up with. You know, you've got the rest of the world debating the burqa, and they've come out and said, you know what? No, we've got an actually valid and very good reason for employing the burqa just for this period of time.
Okay. I don't know what to say about that.
There's always one other good reason for a burqa. Are you telling me that Brazil doesn't have any ugly people?
Well, I'm sure they do, especially in the jungle.
With the Olympics coming, like this whole Zika thing with the Olympics is going to be a disaster.
Yeah, you got loads of people around the world going, shit, it's a good job I'm not pregnant.
So it'll be the first Muslim World Games.
Maybe.
Because they'll all be wearing burqas.
This Zika thing is we spoke about this a little while ago, didn't we? It's pretty
last episode.
Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty weird. It's a great story, but it's a bit scary.
Yeah, it is a bit scary. But
What else have we got?
All right. The annual Krispy Kreme challenge race in Raleigh, North Carolina, in which runners must eat a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts in the middle of the race, i.e.
What?
Sounds like the kind of race I want to enter.
What can you just so basically you have to stop and eat 6, or you have to eat 6 while you're running?
No, you have to eat 12, a whole dozen.
Oh, it doesn't.
But I think
12.
it's kind of like, at most marathons where there's people handing out Gatorade bottles and stuff along the thing. They hand you out a box of Krispy Kremes, and the part of it is that you have to eat
12 while you're doing a marathon. That's 26 miles.
Well, it would probably be really good for replenishing your glucose supplies.
Yeah, but you do that via liquids. You don't fucking eat 12 Krispy Kreme donuts.
I'm guessing they don't set any speed records.
Anyway, so why is this in the news?
Because it has claimed a life.
Oh, shit.
A 58-year-old man actually dropped out when he started having chest pains just a mile into the race. But by the time paramedics got him to hospital, he was dead on arrival.
And so how many donuts had he had by the time he had his chest pains?
That part I hadn't seen, but he probably only just started. Race directors and spokesmen for the North Carolina State University, which manages the race, expressed their condolences to the man's family, but gave no word on whether or not the family will receive a lifetime supply of Krispy Kreme.
Did you add that last bit?
Well, great. It was missing from the story,
but
great. I mean, that's the most important part.
So that's just going to be like in the topic of like, signs of the apocalypse, like stupid Americans, like, it's like, let's take this car and like put giant tires on it and like crush other cars.
Well, it is a sign of it is a sign of a civilization or an empire in decline.
Yeah,
all of these things.
Let's race, and while we're racing, we'll also eat donuts. Like, oh my god.
But it's a great outreach to the out of shape community because it's like, here's the enticement. Because, I mean, I'm not sure that you actually have to run this thing or whether it's like the sun run where you can just kind of walk
I see what
slowly.
you're saying. I see where you're going. You're like, do you want to run, but you're afraid of losing weight? We've got a solution for you.
We got just the race for you. It's 26 miles, but you get 12 donuts.
Yeah, you're like, just run 26 miles and at the end of it, gain weight.
Well, it's kind of like the old Hansel and Gretel thing, only with donuts.
Yeah.
Here's the trail.
It's funny, whenever he says Krispy Kreme to me, I always think of Krusty the Clown. I always just think of him handing out donuts. It's an association I make in my mind. I don't know if anybody else does that, but that's what I do.
Do you want to do correct activities outside your home, but you're afraid of leaving your happy place?
You see those races that people do sometimes, and they're like sofas that people have turned into vehicles.
Yeah.
And they drive along on the sofa. It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
It's basically a tough mudder version of that.
Yeah, exactly, like bumper cars.
Bumper cars. Bumper bellies. They should just call it bumper bellies. See if you can finish.
Do you are you afraid of eye contact with women? But you just want to see their bodies? I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know. I think the chicks who actually look good in the yoga pants probably pick a different run.
Yeah, they probably don't live in North Carolina. Or maybe they do. People in North Carolina getting really upset. All three of them. All three of them will listen to our show. North Carolina, we got some listeners in North Carolina.
Yeah, they actually
not now.
That Krispy
I
Kreme
think
race.
they'll be able to take it on, in the good spirit it's meant. Sorry, Eric.
No, I was going to say that Krispy Kreme race is like yoga is a drink. It's like a high calorie drink.
Yeah. All right, well that's it for fucking news.
That's the fucking news.
Oh, wrap that up. That was some juicy stories there.
This is why. Okay, I just want to say this. Okay, when living in Vancouver, here in the heart of like communist Canada, you see a lot of people. I get a lot of people saying to me, "Don't you care about the planet? Don't you care about the planet? Don't you care about the future of this? And like, I got no kids. I got no significant other. And most people are fucking assholes and idiots. So like, when I hear stories like that, I've just, it makes me resign. I'm like, I have resigned. I don't give a shit anymore. But there is actually one news story that I wanted to bring up. It did make me feel good. And it's a story about how these orphaned orangutans in Indonesia have like found a school. It's called Forest School, right? This is the one thing that made me feel good today. It's like, so there's like these baby orangutans who lose their parents because like they were like, I don't know, doing coke or like hanging
they're
out.
Shot by foresters.
Oh, right, that's what it is. They're like, so they have and so they take these baby orangutans and they take them to Forest School and they teach them how to be orangutans, right? And like go back. So they can go back to the jungle and live back in the jungle. And I was like, oh, that's, that kind of gives me hope sometimes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But it's a good indication of how fucked up the world is.
The world
they have
is
to do
so
it,
fucking effed.
have to do it in the first place.
Yeah,
and you know why it's all down to, especially in Indonesia, is all because we have palm oil in our margarine and all that sort of stuff.
Right, so don't eat margarine.
Well, you're saying don't eat palm. If you care about orangutans, don't eat palm oil or anything that's got it in, because that's what they're doing. They're cutting down the forest in order to grow palm trees.
And it's not particularly good for you either.
It's
a
not.
lot of people are saying, despite all the old propaganda, butter is actually healthier for you.
Exactly.
So orangutans, it's nature's ginger. Well, on that note of the happy orangutans, that's our feel good story of the
And
show.
even that had a twist in the tail. Even that had a barb at the end.
Everything's got a barb.
I know that's what we're good for.
So you know what, folks, stick with us. I'm your temporary co-host until Byron's back.
You bring another dynamic, don't you?
A little bit,
Yeah.
Less humor, but more like knife in the heart.
More monkeys.
More, yeah.
More monkeys, less humor, and more content. How about that?
Yeah, I'm filler.
Well, but Byron is purely content free.
He's yeah, but he's entertaining.
He's entertaining.
He's like, you know what Byron is? He's like a donut halfway through a race.
He's a gag machine gun.
Yeah, that's
set
right.
on semi-automatic.
He's a box of Tim Hortons Timbits, right? Over a course of when he turns up, you're really happy, and you're happy throughout the show. But then when he leaves, you're like, that was a bad idea.
Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we've been Ivan Penaluna.
I'm Eric Amber.
And I'm Pure Dracula.
Thank you very much for listening.